Who's on the line, please?
Maritza.
Ms. Gutierrez, we'll be starting shortly. We're waiting for quorum.
Okay.
Thank you.
The 78% placement rate. It's pretty good. Back on again. I'm touching it or not, that's kind of weird. Can you tell me why these go on by themselves? We're just about ready to start. We're just waiting to have quorum. Thank you for your patience. Welcome to our first meeting, board meeting of the Miami Expressway Authority of 2018. Wishing everyone a very happy new year. I think it's still January. I can do that. I'd like to call this meeting to order now. Your board. I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Board, could you lead us, please?
with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please call the roll?
Ms. Gutierrez, Mr. Martinez, Mr. Meyer,
Present.
Treasurer Board,
Here.
Secretary Wolf,
Here.
Vice Chair Edmondson, Chair Fano.
Here. Could the folks that are on the phone, please, because we couldn't hear, I want to be sure that everybody knows you're joining us.
It's Ms. Gutierrez and Mr. Meyer.
Ms. Gutierrez and Mr. Meyer. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
I would like to have a motion to approve the agenda, please. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Okay, the agenda's as is. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to send our well wishes to General Counsel Carlos Zaldivar. He's a little bit under the weather, and Francine will be working as General Counsel. Thank you, Francine, very much. If you could ask for
Do we have
voting
any
conflicts.
declaration of voting conflicts? None declared, Madam.
None noted.
None declared, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Also, we'd like to ask if there's anyone out there in the public who would like to make a comment on an item on the agenda. You could come up to the podium. Seeing none, we'll be able to move forward. Okay. I'd like to ask for a motion for approval of the summary minutes from our meeting of the board meeting of December 5th, 2017.
So moved.
Second, thank you. All those in favor? Approved. Thank you very much. Mr. Executive Director, you're on.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I also want to state that our CFO, Marie Schaefer, is also out sick. We've been battling the flu at MDX, so Sure, we'll be handling the duties today as customary. But my report, Madam Chair, I want to give you the status of some ongoing construction on 836. On 836-28, which is from 17th Avenue to 57th Avenue, we're about 65% complete. We had some major closures this weekend to start putting up the flyover. I don't know if you've seen some of the girders go up on the major flyover at Lejeune Road, going eastbound into the airport. So a lot of that work is starting to take place. A lot of the emphasis is on the Lejeune Road interchange. As we get to 836-29, which is the 87th Avenue, we're about 60% complete on that project. Major shifts are about to occur. We've been meeting with the city of Doral and with the county as well to ensure that that transition occurs and that they're aware of any kind of closures or changes in traffic. Both of those projects are scheduled to be completed in the fall of 2018. On the Dolphin Park and Ride, we're approximately 60% complete. We believe that we will be delivering the project in April or May of this year. God willing, there is no hurricanes, no weather delays, nothing of that sort. There's an agenda item on the board today that is relative to 122nd Street, and I know that Director Toledo will address that when the agenda item comes through. At the committee meeting, and this might be repetitive for those that were at the committee meeting, we had a long conversation and discussion on the Kendall Parkway, or as we've been calling it, the southwest extension of State Road 836. We've decided to call it the Parkway and give it a sense of place, which is the Kendall Parkway. At the meeting, we discussed the status of the project. The CDMP application has been posted to the county's website as of the second week of January. We continue to work with county staff to ensure that the application addresses any concerns or commitments that need to be made. As it relates to our NEPA project, our project itself, we're in the process of revising our cost estimates and operations and maintenance costs. We will be presenting a finance plan with some structures and options in the March meeting. We plan on having a board workshop to discuss potential toll rates on that project itself, and that will be occurring in April, leading us to public hearings on rates and on the project itself in the May, June, July timeframe. We have been discussing with the county when is the CDMP approval. It is scheduled for as early as June and as late as October. It is not a land use change, it's simply a transportation element inclusion into the plan. So there's process issues that need to go there. I think the reason we made this presentation at committee was to stress that if all these approvals occur, this is not a project that's 5 years out or 10 years out. This is a project that actually can begin the procurement process later this year. You know, in the fall of this year, we can actually get to procurement and start going to the market and getting vendors to start the design-build process of a major north-south expressway. Multimodal corridor, as we've called it. I also wanted to update the committee, the board, on our efforts with the cashback. And in your blue folders, you'll see the public communications report. But as of Monday, as of yesterday morning, we've got over 204,000 people in our program, transponders in our program, of which 13,000 are new customers. So the effort has taken off. The significance of this is that we've included a survey that customers take. It is also included in your packet. The survey has 23,900 plus people have taken the survey. One of the questions on the survey is, when we're completed with a lot of the construction we have, would you support extending 836 or the Kendall Parkway? 86% of the respondents, well over 20,000 of the respondents of our users agree with that program. We've also asked about the extension of the Gratigny, and well over 75% of those respondents support it. But then the third question speaks to our XT lanes, our express technology lanes, where we're going to be running bus rapid transit on 836. And we basically state a question, the question states, when we're done with the XT lanes and we open the Dolphin transit station park and ride, would you use this service to get from the park and ride facilities into the airport, into downtown? And over 53% of the people have said yes. 36% of the people said that it's not in their service area. So when you look at these responses, people are actually paying attention of what their commute is and would they use something. So it's very telling. Every Monday morning I get the report, and I see these numbers continue to hold steady. Madam Chair, as far as the TPO goes, on the 25th, the TPO held its board meeting. There was no major items that affected MDX or the authority. I think the major item was a bridge over a canal on 87th Avenue in South Dade. It took up most of the agenda. I think the significant item for MDX is that there's a save the date on March 22nd, 2018. There will be a TPO General Assembly, and one of the guest speakers is going to be Secretary Michael Dew. So I will be sending out that save the date to our board members for their participation. Last week, on the 25th and 26th, the CITT, Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, hosted the 2017-2018 Transportation Summit. Board member Mayor Jimenez was a keynote speaker and participated in a discussion with Mayor Gilbert of Miami Gardens and Chairman Bovo on the future of transportation. It was very enlightening. It was very good. That was on the first date. On the second day, Secretary Wolf and I, along with Director Bravo and Director Bouclé, and the Chief Operating Officer for the South Florida Rail Transportation Authority, participated again in a panel that talked about where we are with the SMART plan and what to expect in 2018. So my presentation highlighted the XT lanes, highlighted the park and ride facilities, and I mentioned how our strategic plan was a focus on the hub and spoke concept, where you develop transportation hubs and you connect them with spokes. Those spokes could be highways, current expressways, current highways, the managed lane network that we have, or transit lines that exist. And now you're starting to give the public options. And I think that was the theme of our panel, was that you've got to give our public some options. With that, Madam Chair, I'll conclude my report.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Chair. In the package, we have the financial statements for December 31st. Marie's not here, so I'll try to do my best to fill in those big shoes. And I've got two items. So if we look at the financial statements, what we're going to find is that they're on the top line, on the revenue side, we continue to have a variance. And we were a little surprised by the variance, and the variance has a natural explanation because we went into the hub with all the other toll agencies, and there were a couple of hiccups. And I think, Steve, before I get any further, why don't you explain to us where we are with that?
Board members, on October 20th of last year, the Southeast Hub went live, and MDX transitioned to the uniform financial message. Instead of doing it the old way, we've got a new way. The transition encountered several issues between MDX, FTE, and the hub that services our interoperable partners in Florida, which is CFX and Lee County, as well as North Carolina and Georgia. SunPass transactions, which represents about 70 to 80% of our traffic, were flowing without issue, except we had some pockets of transactions dating back to the go-live date of October, which were not processed by FTE. We identified these in January, on January 10th, and we processed them all. So that kind of made the backlog, recovered in January. As of the 15th of January, these were resolved, and we haven't seen any more instances. But there's two sides to this. The other side is the video side. We also encountered issues with that in the interpretation of amendments that were coming back in these files. In discussing with FTE, we found a glitch on their side. They reprocessed those as well in January. And we also encountered issues with our ETC lanes of them passing their information up to our host. They were late. We, as well in January, are catching up, and we're 8 days behind.
So that brings us to the net variance is about $1.5 million, where, and speaking with Marie, she made sure that I used the word hopefully. So hopefully we'll be caught up by the report in February, which will include all the catch-up numbers that Steve just discussed. And then on the expense side, I talked to Marie regarding the office administration, which is about 4.5% over budget. She explained to me that most of that are timing issues, that when they will flush out at the end of the year. And then the last item on my list was, in the previous board, we had a conversation regarding a study that was being conducted to understand better what the real facts were regarding the billings per transponders. And that study has now been expanded, and staff and the consultants are now analyzing how that billing occurs within peak hours and non-peak hours. So we're drilling down in the data, and I was told that hopefully by our next board meeting, we should have further information for the board to consider. And Madam Chair, with that, I would conclude my report.
Madam Chair, before we move into our consent agenda, I want to do two things. First, I want to announce that we're going to have,
I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we're there yet. If I may, Mr. Treasurer, I think to expand on what the Treasurer stated, the analysis was on the monthly pass, and I think that's where the data was being collected. In the last month or 2 months, staff has been approached by board members looking at the opportunities based on that data to look at peak versus non-peak traffic and see if there could be a differential in pricing to try and get some of the discretionary trips out of your peak hours. And I think that's an issue that we're going to look at. And like we told the treasurer when we met with the treasurer, we hope to bring that to the board at our next board meeting so that the board can see all the different options that we've analyzed. So thank you.
Forward to that in February. Much. Moving to the consent agenda, Francine.
so just a point of order. I wanted to make sure that Louis, Board Member Martinez, do you have any conflicts with anything on the agenda today?
I do not.
Okay. And I also wanted to make sure that we announce that there's going to be an attorney-client privilege meeting later during this meeting.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Martinez. Welcome, Ms. Gutierrez.
Thank you,
Happy
Chair.
New Year. You missed my happy New Year. Oh, I'm glad. That's right. You're on the phone. Oh, that's right. I can say it again, right? All righty. We'll move into the consent agenda. Francine, please.
We're now at the consent agenda. Travel approval for January 31st through February 1st, trip to Tallahassee, Florida by board members to attend the Miami-Dade County Days in Tallahassee. And item B is approval of MDX Board of Directors meeting schedule.
Do we have a motion?
Move.
Any discussion, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed.
We're now at the regular agenda. Item A, MDX procurement contract number ITB 18-04, MDX work program numbers 30034.060, 40044.060, and 10021.060 for construction for State Road 924, which is the Gratigny Parkway, milling and resurfacing, drainage improvements, speed feedback signs, an engineer's estimate of $2,556,122.69. It was endorsed by the committee on January 17th.
Move for discussion.
Okay, open for discussion.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Ellen?
MDX released an invitation to bid, seeking bids from qualified contractors to provide construction services for the project. We received 7 bid packages from Community Asphalt, General Asphalt Company, Halley Engineering Contractors, JVA Engineering Contractors, Lead Engineering Contractors, Roadway Construction, and Sassier Construction. Halley Engineering Construction was the contractors was the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, with a bid amount of $2,469,530 with 37 cents, which is 3.4% below our engineer's estimate. Staff is recommending that the contract be awarded to Halley Engineering Contractors. This contract has a 15% small business participation as well as a 15% local business participation requirement, and is fully funded in our work program. This is a reprocurement of a project that had been canceled, and the board authorized us to rebid, and this is the results.
And I'd like to thank staff for doing it in such an expedient way, reprocurement. Thank you. Any questions, comments? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Congratulations to Haley Engineering.
Item B is MDX and FDOT and Beacon Lakes. It's a three-party agreement. It was endorsed by the committee on January 17th of this year. The item before you is approval of the three-party agreement, excuse me.
Move for purpose of discussion.
Second?
Madam Chair, Director Toledo can explain, just like he did at the committee meeting.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members. This three-party agreement is between the DOT MDX and the Beacon Lakes Community Development District, or CDD. Basically, as part of the Community Development District's DRI, or Development Resource Order, they need to connect, as part of their improvements, they need to connect 121st Street between Northwest 12th and 25th Street. Essentially, what you see in red is the area in question, which is the area that affects our current right-of-way, along with DOT with our transfer agreement. So in essence, what this agreement does is allows them to construct that road, and it sets the parameters to make sure that we're not adversely impacted as part of that construction. These improvements are fully funded by the Beacon Lakes Community Development District.
Any questions, any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Inside your package for informational purposes, you've got your procurement report and the communications report. And Terry, the communications report is very comprehensive. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the hard work you're doing to get the word out, especially about our cashback program. And those of you that are here and anyone listening, please share the word. We want to get as many people signing up as possible. As far as chair's comments, other than reiterating my wishes for a happy and healthy and successful new year, I'm going to not make comments today so that we can get into our shade meeting because it's scheduled for 4:30. And I'll look forward to seeing everybody in February, and we'll come back after our shade meeting. But before that, I need to read this, so bear with me, folks. It's procedure. The time now is 4:30 p.m. We're about to have an attorney-client session in accordance with Florida Statute 286.011 regarding the litigation styled Electronic Transaction Consultants Corporation versus Miami-Dade Expressway Authority, case number 12-46272-CA40 in the 11th Judicial Circuit, in and for Miami-Dade County, Florida. This session is estimated to last 30 to 45 minutes, and the following people will be included in attendance in this meeting: myself and board members, Vice Chair Audrey Edmondson, Treasurer Leonard Board, Mr. James Wolf, Ms. Maritza Gutierrez, Mr. Luis Martinez, and Mr. Cliff Walters. I think I've got everybody on the board that are present. Francine will be representing us for General Counsel. Mr. Joseph Sirota, Mr. Michael Ernstein, Mr. Eric Hockman, and Mr. Rodolfo Sarunda Jr., and Javier Rodriguez, our Executive Director. These proceedings will be recorded by a certified court reporter, and at the conclusion of all litigations discussed, the transcript will be made part of public record. All those individuals who I have named should please leave the room and reconvene in the conference room adjoining these chambers. Thank you very much for your patience while we have our shade meeting. Terminated, and members of the general public are now invited to return for any further proceedings or this matter, and the time is 6:18 PM.
Now you can call it the meeting adjourned. The board meeting
I don't need a motion, can you?
Nope, adjourned doesn't mean, yeah.
The meeting of today, January 30th, 2018, is now adjourned.
You don't need a second for adjournment.
You don't? Okay.